taking some of my time to work on that closet I've been trying to restore for a little while. And I've ranted about this before once, but I'll rant about it again. You know about masking tape or painter's tape? It's this stuff over here that's not supposed to stick too much. The idea is that if you want to paint a wall, paint the ceiling, paint the floor, and whatever, and you don't want it to stick to any other surfaces around it, you put this masking tape on the perimeter of it so that you paint on top of it, and then when you're done, you peel it off, and then your other surfaces are clean. But I've never seen anything like this before. What they actually did over here is... crap. Looks like they took masking tape and just applied it to the joints over here, and then just painted right over it. This is not supposed to be a permanent fix. This is like the worst elements of DIY I've ever seen in my life. And this is the kicker. You don't use masking tape to tape your joints. What you use is this regular drywall tape. Just paste it on, use some compound, and then you're set to go. If you're wondering how much I paid for this, here's the kicker. I didn't pay for this. This was left by the previous owners. So imagine, they had the right tools and supplies to get this wall done, and they still use masking tape. Bloody hell. I have no idea how I'm gonna get all this done. Well, who am I kidding? I'm actually getting some progress done over here. I've already removed tape right at the top, all around the perimeters here, some corners, and I'm slowly going around and patching it up with a second coat. I'm gonna try to finish it up over here as well too. But that's just like the beginning of this closet. If you look up here, you're gonna see that this ceiling light is not even with anything. Take a look. You can actually move this thing around. But I noticed on the other side, it's not even hooked up to anything. It's just hanging out like that onto the drywall. And I think I see a couple of cracks on the wall. This thing is not sturdy whatsoever. So stupid. And then on top of that too, just to add a little shit to the shit sandwich, damn hangers. Over here is some of my venting for the furnace, and they put the drywall all around it, but left this huge gaping hole like right here, and this is all exposed. So whatever dust is gonna be generated in that tool room / furnace room, it's gonna come in here too. I feel like I'm trying to restore this thing to something kind of usable. Might have bit off more than I can chew. But I suppose before I do get to that, I'm gonna work on something I know is simple enough, my floor. Alright, so just as a recap, in case you didn't see my video from a little while back, the floor in this closet was not level with the floor in the room over here. Like, it would have been under it by about 2 inches, I wanted to say. It seems like what they had done is they did the floor over here in the room, then when the closet was put together, it almost seemed like that they decided to screw it and just put whatever. Because you could tell, the door frame wasn't flush with the two, huge gap. So what I had done is I had to actually deconstruct this with a circular saw, pulled it apart, and then just to add a little extra protection, put a small layer of plastic underneath there. Just for you builders out there, you DIYers, let me explain. With the concrete, you're going to need some kind of a vapor barrier because the concrete is actually going to absorb moisture from outside, and if there's no layer protected, that's going to be humidity transferring into the room, or worse yet, any wood that you have in here that makes contact with the concrete can't absorb that moisture, and as a result, you could lead to mold, rot, and mildew problems in here, among other things. So it's best to try to have your vapor barrier for doing that. Obviously, if you're going to be doing your whole house, you're probably going to have to gut the thing, and it's going to be thousands of bucks. Personally, I think mine got the job done. Since I was removing this, I figured, let's go ahead and remove it. But then onto that, I put the vapor barrier, put a few other 2x4s to raise it up by 2 inches, then put the floor back on and reconstructed it. It's not perfect, but rule of thumb, it's a closet. I don't need perfection here, I just need something to be functional. Don't come in here, Felix. So now that I'm doing that, I'm going to finish off by laying down the rest of the floor tile. Alright, so if you've ever used laminate tiling before to replace a floor, you know just how easy it is to install. All you do is take a little bit of underlayment, like a padding, so that you have a little bit of protection in between the floor tiles and then the subfloor here. This one I have is a foil backing that gives me a vapor barrier and a bit of insulation and some soundproofing. So all you gotta do is lay it on top, just a little bit more than you need, and then cut around the perimeter, just like that. And then once you're done, if you're not sure you're gonna have enough contact with all this, just use some tuck tape or some kind of tape to hold it in place. It's gonna be a piecemeal job, but it's gonna work perfectly anyways. Gotta get this corner here. There. Excellent. So I have a bit of offcut that I have to put over here, and the beauty is, on the vapor barrier, you're gonna actually have a little bit of an adhesive strip that you peel off, stick together. So this lets you put two separate parts all in one, so you have a nice continuous seal. And then once I'm done attaching all this, you can get the floor put on. There. Yeah, getting all the underlayment laid on is probably the trickiest part of this. Well, that and probably the cutting. But the cutting, once you get past that, if you're comfortable with a saw, it's really not that hard to do. So one of the great things about using laminate floor is that it's super easy to install. If you know how to use a saw, or if you know how to use one of those guillotine tools you get at hardware stores, you can install this. Let me show you. This is what we've been using on the floor before. 8 millimeter pieces. All you gotta do is lay it on top. You'll see there are 2 locking areas over here. So, take that, lay it on top, take another piece. There's a tongue and groove, so you kind of slip it in like this, and then lay it down. There. That's laminate tiling, people, and then you keep repeating. Obviously, there are a few things you want to remember. Stagger your joints, meaning that you're not going to want to install it like this, so everything is going to be even. Because when you step, all the load's going to be transferred to the same spots, and your floor is going to be pulling apart. You want to have it kind of, anywhere between 6 to 12 inches. So cut off pieces, lay it on top, then you're good to go. And then if you cut off anything to fit over here, sometimes you can even use the offcuts to start your next row. It's very basic stuff. That's what I love about this type of tile. Yeah, obviously I'm not going to be able to put the full tile in some spots, so I'm doing some markings here. So this point, going up here, and then if I go to the next row, that should give me the next length. There we are. So now, I get on the other side here so I don't have to worry about damaging the finish. So I'm going to put my 2 lines right here, and there, and there. Just like that. And then, so it's going to end over here. You get on this side. There. That's going to be my cut. But I'm not going to cut it indoors. I learned that when you cut this indoors, especially with power tools, that's a lot of dust. Try to cut outside if you can. Avoid cutting indoors as best as possible. Okay, let's see what it's like now that I've done some cuts. Okay, this one should be... Okay, done some cuts. Let's continue on. So, I'm gonna lay it on top like right here. And the beauty is that it's a tongue and groove on both sides. So if you're up against the wall, you just have to push in like this from here. There. Lock in place. And then of course you may need to use a hammer with that too. I've got one here and a little tapping block with a groove that I put onto the tongue that sticks out. And then just keep hammering until I see it lock into place. And then that's laminate floor. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. valve is going to close up. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Alright. That's firmly in place now. We can continue on with our next row. There, that's in. We'll do the same thing. Okay, just a few more taps. Alright, that's that. Yeah, this is actually trickier than I expected it to be because of some weird angles. But it's a closet, it's gonna work out well. Let's see what I can work on next. I suppose I can continue some patching on this part of the wall where I just remove more masking tape, because it's going to be easy here. This is where they had some shelves that were left, but it looks like what they actually did, they just nailed this directly into the drywall, and that made a huge hole over here. You're supposed to put this into a stud, put it in a wall, which is just nothing but dust and paper. Of course it's going to fail. God dang it. Sometimes I wonder what people are thinking when they do these kind of things. This is like the worst elements of DIY that you could find out there. This is a case of get her done instead of get her done right. Well, that's that. Now let's get the rest of this tape off. Okay, so any of you who's trying to work with drywall at home wants to know how to do this, it's actually pretty basic. After I started working on this, I thought, I kind of enjoy it. All you really need to do is get yourself a little bit of a jar of drywall compound or joint compound, and then you want to take a 4-inch putty knife, just lay it liberally on here. You want to be very generous with this. And I'll explain why. This is also going to be a little bit trickier because I'm working on a corner. I'm sure there's other ways you could do this. You can get it in a powder form and mix it yourself with water, and get one of those big trays with a handle on the bottom. It's called a hawk, like the bird. The amount of drywall I'm working with, I don't think I'm going to need to spend on just that. I'm basically restoring a closet, not doing a wall from scratch. There. So just want to get this on nice and properly. And then what do we do after we're done with this? We use, well, masking tape. Very funny, right? I'm not using that stuff at all. Seriously, what the hell were people thinking? I'm going to use some drywall tape, which is, the tape is really just a roll of paper, and it has a little curve over here that bends right on the side. So I'm going to do this. Just make sure it's a bit straight. There, straighter edge. So just for this amount, I'm going to start around here. I'm going to work my way like down to here. Take your knife, put it up against the tape. That'll let you get a nice straight line all the time. And you just want to work this in. Make sure it's folded together, and then that goes against the corner here. And then afterwards, you just use your knife, press it up against the drywall mud. And what's going to do is it's going to envelope and then create a nice tight seal. If I was a kid doing this in my mom's house, I probably would have put the mud on, put the tape, and just applied more mud right away. The thing is that you really have to be patient with this. Let it dry off first, and then you can add another layer, so then you have less of a mess. And of course, make sure you get some of the excess off. That way, that's much less sanding to do. Boy, I knew this from years ago when I was a kid. There. Once again, I'm not looking for perfection. I just want to make sure it doesn't look as ghetto as fuck. Then you keep repeating for the rest of the joint until it's all taped up. Then you give this another day to dry, and then you can add your second layer, and then that should be enough, and you have to do like maybe minimal sanding. Yeah, you don't want to sand too much with this stuff. So just as a recap in case you didn't remember, these shelving pieces that were here to hold in place were attached directly into the drywall. I have access to the back side of this, but the thing about that is that there's no stud, no wood, no nothing to hold it in. So just this dust wall has been holding that thing in, and those nails are able to pop out. Any kind of way, you're just gonna damage the wall until the end. But luckily, because like I said, I have access, I can support it easily. And the way that I'm gonna be figuring out that problem for the closet is simple enough. I picked up these pieces of spruce at the hardware store. They're 2x2s, so not too big like the size of a regular stud, which is about a 2x4, but just enough that I give some support for those beams in the closet. I have a tight space to work with. Right now I got them each about 4 inches of, no not 4 inches, 4 feet long. I'm gonna probably cut that in half to make it easier to work with. And it's a pretty basic thing. You just have to cut it up, like this. And just as a reminder, this is gonna give a lot of dust. Try to do your cuts outside if you can, because you're gonna dirty up your room. And of course, wear gloves, wear safety goggles, so that stuff doesn't go flying around. Extra protection. Safety first, stay alert, stay safe. Does anyone still remember that? God, I'm getting old. Okay, I've had a bit of a delay because I was working on some other projects in the house, but now I'm gonna be finishing off a bit of the closet here. So, just in case I didn't mention it before, and I don't feel like looking through all my footage again, so I'm not even gonna check to be sure. Let's do a recap. We got one light fixture here that's too loose, not even flush with the ceiling. Now looking at it from above in my furnace room, I'm able to see that this thing is actually not fixed into anything. So, basic things about lighting fixtures. You need to have some kind of a blocking for it, like something that's attached to the stud so that you can put it in and it's gonna be fixed in properly, because it seems like it's a bit more safe. Not to mention that you're not going to be damaging your drywall with that too. So for my purposes, I've created this thing here. It's like, yeah, it's like my own makeshift blocking over here. Because I know that on the top, this thing is held by metal studs that are like here and here, which actually matches with the length in between two studs right here. So I'm going to be fixing this from underneath, right here, and the box that's in here, I'm going to be fastening it through here. So it's going to be facing somewhere in this way. I'm not going to show you the other part where I'm fixing that, because let's face it, it's a tight squeeze. I don't need anyone to see me struggle. But we can definitely get this light fixture out. Oh yeah, when you're working with electricity too, always make sure that you don't have a charge over here. Last thing you need is that become extra crispy. And it's kind of dangerous too. Ooh. God dang it. Yeah, you can tell this thing wasn't even put in properly because of how crooked it was. Okay, that's both of them gone. Screws are out. I'll be right back. Alright, back in business. Realize I need to get some work gloves to do this. These are like general purpose work gloves that are good for a lot of basic things, but also good if you're working with electricity. How that works? Fuck if I know. Alright. There. So let me see. How is this looped in? Okay. How do I explain this? It's about time that I gotta change this fixture to something brand new, because I'm sure this bloody thing is outdated. Now, most of them are gonna have your screws on the top that you hook up your wiring. What this one is the same way I have an electrician that was coming in for some other more complicated projects. The screws are actually right on the side. It means it's a pain in the ass to have to get this thing taken off. Wow. I'm glad they make this standard these days, because bloody hell, who does that? Hang on. Oh, I stand corrected. It's just one of those light fixtures that unscrews at the bottom here, and then you basically disconnect it like that. That's the secret to this. Can't say I'm a fan of it though. There we are. One down, one more to go. Right. There, this thing is off. And now to get to the other side to get this thing all fixed in. Seriously, what were they thinking? This is like worst do-it-yourself job ever. God. Okay, let's see if I can locate this thing. Alright. Holding it in. Seems to be like right around here. Now, I'm using the drywall screw, so if this thing is in the right spot, it should drill through the drywall, in through the metal stud, and then attach into the piece of wood. Okay, seem to be in. Try this again. There. It's one in. Might need to give it a bit of tightening afterwards, but it's in. I've learned to have that. Me? That sound when it hits the wood with the screw? That's actually become a satisfying sound for me. Can't believe it. So we got one side in. Now for just one more. There. Fixed into place. There. One in. Now, screw number 2. Fixed. That light bulb is not going anywhere anymore. Alright, now that I know this thing is put into place, time to get this new light fixture put in. Now, once again, for people who probably aren't as comfortable with this stuff, an electrician can do it really easily. But one thing they're able to do is switch your own fixtures. So light bulbs, light fixtures actually, because anyone can change a light bulb. So light fixtures, sockets, light switches, those things you can definitely do. So I got here one brass coupling and then one silver one. What's this say? Yeah. Make sure that the black is attached to the brass one and then that the white or the neutral one is attached to the silver. So all your fixtures are going to have like a white and a black, and you might have a grounding too depending on your type of fixture. This grounding is inside the octagonal box, so that's already in place. So now all I got to do is take these, loop them around, tighten them up, and then this should be good to go to use once again. Alright, both the wires are in. Now let's get this thing fixed up into the ceiling once again. And I suppose what I should do too is get the other screw in, just so it's a little bit more stable, so to speak. Twist, twist, and twist. There we go. Alright, we're on to business here. So I got 2 final steps, actually 3 final steps. This is a pull string lamp, so just gotta get this thing tied onto it, get the bulb in, and then the last and final step, turn the power back on to make sure this thing is working properly. Cord's screws in, bulbs all re-screwed, so next thing, we're gonna test this out. Make sure it's working properly. Once again, this thing, it's not going anywhere now. Okay, I guess I forgot to explain one more thing too. What kind of screws I use to attach that light fixture to the box? It could be any kind of screws. I know we could do that because when I asked the electrician that was here last time for the more complicated stuff, he said any old screws will work, so live and learn. So I'm going to be doing the next thing on this project, sealing up this piece of shit hole. Like, I don't know why they built this thing but then never finished it off. It's like, this is the definition of half-assed. I didn't show what I had done originally, but you're going to notice that here are some 2x4s, and they're right behind the wall too. So the idea with this is that if I'm going to be trying to patch this up, I want to get a little bit of support and studs into here. So let's get started. But I guess since I have this open, may as well do one more thing. Alright, so using a little bit of foil duct tape here, because I'm noticing that there's 2 holes because they screwed some screws into here for reasons unknown. This stuff works wonders. Like, it's flexible, it's able to take the shape of anything, and unlike regular duct tape, this is going to be folded up so you're not going to have any gaps. Got a nice tight seal. Just taking that. Obviously, if you want to have a perfectly efficient duct line, you would probably gut the whole basement, gut the whole house, refinish it, and then patch up whatever you wanted to do. That's going to be a lot of time and effort though. So for this purpose, I just figured don't go too crazy. It's a matter of, like when I did the vapor barrier underneath this closet floor. It's like, if I have this open, if I need to get some added structure or I'm doing a project, I may as well tackle that part. The rest of the house, we'll see what happens. No guarantee I'll ever do that stuff. Now, one more piece of tape to cover that hole, and I think I got quite a bit of a gap here too. I should probably fix that up as well. As once I can get this thing opened. Come on, dude. Aha, there it is. We're getting there. Tear that off. Use this to seal this hole. This might be the return duct actually, but whatever, you can seal that. Yeah, this is kind of leaky, so we'll do that. Once again, I'm not looking for perfect, I'm just looking for some improvement. That's the idea. Alright, but a little patching, now let's recap that. What I done to kind of patch up all these holes now that these are all in place is that I bought one of these panels of drywall. It's like a small 2 foot by 2 foot one if you want to do small repairs, not like getting the ones that are around like 4 feet long by 8 feet high. That's like if you're doing a major project or you're basically gutting a room and then starting from scratch. These are pretty good if you just want to do like a small patch, like you got a 1 inch hole, you got a few bigger holes you want to fill up. Just cut it to size so that you need, stick it on, and then voila. That's actually the purpose of the studs here, because I need to get these in by screwing them up on top. There, like that. And to use that, or to do that, I am going to use drywall screws. So they're these kind of thin screws that you use to attach drywall to a stud. And yeah, I've been learning from DIY videos from friends who do this kind of stuff. This is a Phillips head and nobody likes Phillips heads. Why they make them anyways is a mystery to me. Oh well. Okay, we're locked and loaded. Just want to make sure I have a bit of a gap on each side. Just a small gap, nothing too major. And then, once you know you're in the meat of the stud, just screw it in. Let's try right here. Oops, wrong way. There, it's in. Same thing for the other side. In case you're wondering about the holes, I drilled this in originally, then realized that I had these extra pieces of wood in there that weren't necessary, so I kind of messed it up. Let's tighten this up a bit more. There. You'll notice it's in properly if the screw starts to cave into the paper just a little bit, but not too much. Just like that. There we are. And then once that's all in, you just have to patch it up. Get some drywall compound on the spots where the screws are, and then drywall tape and compound on these seams so it's relatively even, shall we say. Now I gotta continue. You know, this is really like a game of Tetris. Keep working at it and then hope everything fits. My goal is I actually want to try to get all of this blocked off to make it look like there's nothing here. Well, I got some extra wood, maybe I could put that to use. I don't know why I didn't think of removing this long ago. This thing is bloody in the way. What is this? Scrap wood. What else do you want? And just to give this a little extra security, yeah, this is temporary. Nothing fixed yet. There. That's removed. So I had to go to the back side to be able to get some blocking into the wood over here and then into the wood on the other side through the wall. So all this to say I now have something that I can put my drywall in right now. I could probably measure this thing. Easy to do. How good is this gonna get? It's not a perfect cut, but I'm not looking for perfect. I just want something that covers this bloody thing. Now, I'm gonna go for the center here. I'm gonna need my drywall screw. One. All right. Now, one more. Dead center. Ooh, dusty in here. Yeah. You know how much I love drywall dust? Ta-da! There. Yeah. This is as good as it's gonna get right now, minus some of the tricky corners I would have to patch, but I'd have to work maybe a little bit around it. Do you know what? Not bad for a first time here, and I guess now it's time to do the next step, which is patching it up. Now, I know I'm kind of working my own camera here, but bear with me, everyone. If you remember earlier in the video, get that out of here. The thing I was using the most was a tub of a drywall compound, you know, this kind of stuff over here. But I kind of found some advice online. I didn't take it before, but I wish I did. This stuff is heavy duty, takes like overnight to dry, it shrinks, so you definitely have to put a second layer, and it's difficult to sand. So I'm trying something else. What I've got is another form of a compound. This one's like a quick set one, sheetrock. You're mostly gonna find this at Home Depot, but sheetrock comes in a variety of different numbers. I got the 90, meaning that this thing actually sets in 90 minutes. You also could get like sheetrock 45 or 45 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. The quicker it sets, it probably means that you're more experienced with this stuff. You get in the powder, pretty good, I guess, value with that. And I'm gonna try to mix it for the first time, live on camera. I hope this thing actually works well. And then to do that, I'm gonna mix it on a new tool I discovered. This is called a drywall hawk. So what this does is that you're able to put your compound onto here, move around, kind of mix it up. It's ergonomic like this, and then you just mix it and then spread instead of carrying the tub around like an idiot. How did I not know about this until now? But first step I should do is get protection. Yep, using a dust mask, mostly because apparently this stuff could be pretty bad for you if you're breathing it in. I'm sure for my purposes, it's not the end of the world if I get a little bit because I can breathe it out. I suppose if you do this for a living and you're on a construction site, then yeah, this stuff is no good for you. Now where is me knife? Oh, there. Alright. Now let's see how this stuff actually works and if it's going to be successful. Oh, it has a resealable bag. Lucky. Okay, so let's try this out. See if this is actually going to give me a good amount. There. I'm just going to do a little bit to test this out. So apparently the way that you mix this stuff up is that you take a little bit here, create a bit of a volcano in the center, and then you add your water in to mix it all up. And this is 90 minutes if you're working with cold water. If you're working with something else like hot water, warm water, that's going to reduce the set time quite a bit. Sheetrock 45 becomes sheetrock 20 when you add warm water. Okay. Alright. So there, it's all in here. Then what you gotta do is just mix a little bit in the center. And you don't want to make too much of a mess with this. I know you pros out there probably look at this like amateur, but bear with me. I need some practice. Okay, this mud is too hard. I need to get it more smooth. The trick to this is you want this to be the same consistency as peanut butter. Oh no, I'm losing my water here. Losing water. Oh no, too late. Well, this turned out to be a bust for now. Okay, I'm back in business. Took me a little longer to get this all mixed up for the first time, but practice makes perfect, I guess. There. So this is what it's supposed to look like here, and you know you've done this well if it sticks pretty well to the hawk, and it's not going to drip too much. There. And now that I have that, you can just apply it to your cracks. Man, how have I gone so long without knowing about this beauty? Should have worked with this ages ago. There we go. I'm done with the hawk right now. Time to get the next step, the taping done. There, you want to have like an even surface to work with. Let's try this. And of course, this bends in the middle here in case you have to do an interior corner. There. Now what I'm doing is called bedding the tape. A little bit of a runoff here. There. So the idea is that you just want this embedded here so it starts to dry, and then leave it as is. Nice and simple. Okay, I know I'm doing this properly too because I'm looking at the color. Look at this. It goes on beige, but then it dries white. That's the key. And the other reason you'd want to have a hawk, so you can clean up your mess as you go along. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're getting all the excess off of here. Less is more, because the less you have, the less you have to sand, obviously. Alright, and that's better. So there we go. First layer of tape is all in, giving this about 9 minutes until it dries, and then embeds with this. Then you can come back and do a second layer, give it another 90 minutes after that, and it should be good for painting afterwards. See? Quick and easy. You don't have to worry about letting it dry overnight like the old stuff. Yeah, I'm never using this tub again. And plus I use so little of that powder as well when I think about it too. Once again, less is more. And the good thing about the hawk as well, keep that with you too, so that anything that drops can be caught over here so you minimize your mess. Always want to work as neat as possible. Oops. Damn, I lost my mud. Oh yeah, I gotta tape this joint. And you're able to add multiple layers of tape and mud all together too, just as long as you have something to hold it in place. So I think that this joint is not going to be 100% either, because I'm working with a very awkward tight corner also. What are you going to do? It's a living. Actually, no, it's not a living because I'm not making any money off of this stuff. There. A couple of joints all done. I think I should take a break now and let this thing all dry up. And, oh, yeah, I forgot to have a mess to clean. Well, while I'm waiting for that drywall compound to dry up, it's time to get the other step done, the shelving. If you remember, I was working around with the shelving brackets in the closet just because it was just directly connected to the drywall with no strapping, no support, so basically it had nothing to hold on to once it caves in of its own weight. So I have this over here. It's 3/4 inch pine, already pre-sanded and pre-finished, so it just has to be painted. It's 24 inches by 36 inches. I'm gonna need to make this about 27 inches or so, so it means it's gonna have to be cut. But luckily I got a reference point over here. This was one of the old shelves they had used. Like, not bad. This thing looks like it's also 3/4 inches plywood, but unfinished plywood. And let's see, I painted it white to test the ceiling paint, but this is just one of the shelves. They used a bit of everything. Plywood, melamine from a cabinet, you name it, it was there. Really unorthodox. And let's see, this is gonna be my measurement.
And because I have this here, let's make my life a little bit easier. There. This should be around the length that I need. Great. This will do the trick. And now, actually, I can probably make my life a little bit easier with this too. Here's my trick. Let's start on this side. And then this, I'm going to use as my guide for cutting this off. There we go. So if you're looking carefully, the 0 over here is where it's supposed to be aligned. But if I do it this way, then this is going to work perfectly. Okay, time to get some cutting done. But first, there we are. Nice and cut. Yeah, not perfect, but as good as it's going to need to be for our purposes. Let's get this cleaned up. And I have a second shelf to do too. I'm going to see if this cutoff is actually going to do well for something.
There we are. Well, a couple more times with this thing, and now I actually know how to use this drywall hawk pretty well. Pretty convenient for patching all this stuff. So, I've added a lot of tape onto here. I've done a little bit more drywall mud. I'm really just going to need to put one more application tomorrow, let it all sand, and then this closet will be ready for painting now. This stuff isn't perfect, but considering the trickiness of this patching, it's not bad for a first time, so I'm going to take that. Well, let's get this going and let's call it a wrap soon. Well, not bad for a first DIY remodel from start to finish, at least not to this scale. I can close the books on this, so thanks for watching everyone, and this has been another edition of the Ukie Cheese Cafe Reno Edition. If you like what you see, give this video a thumbs up to show that you like this content, hit that subscribe button to get the future updates, and keep spreading my bad humor, my cooking, my barbecue, and all of my knowledge on microbrews. See ya!